When I look back now, the signs were there for years. They were quiet, which is why I ignored them for such a long time. For me, it looked like sitting on the couch in the evening after a long day of work. I was a single mom and I worked full time. And after dinner, after homework, and after bath, when my son was younger, I look forward to that evening when I put him to bed and I could have a drink or two or three and just relax. But here's the thing, I was still functioning, I told myself. I was still able to work. I was still able to be a mom. There was no rock bottom, and I felt like I was continuing to live my life and that I was doing okay. Nothing looked wrong on the outside, but in the inside, it was a lot different. So here are the quiet signs that I'm going to share with you today. I started to think about drinking earlier in the day, usually towards the end of the day after my full-time job, and I was either picking up my son or he was coming home from school. I had to make dinner, we had to do homework, and it was just stressful, and I started to think about having that drink and relaxing a little bit later. Another quiet sign was that I was drinking to change the way I felt. I had a lot of anxiety, I had a lot of depression, and I drank to numb those feelings. I thought it was helping, and it actually wasn't. It was making it worse. Another sign is promising yourself that you're going to drink less. I did that quite often. The drinks, an evening would come, or after an evening of drinking when I was hungover the next day, I thought, I am not doing this again. I cannot drink anymore. I would feel horrible waking up. I would be hungover. I would be sick in my stomach, and told myself and promised myself I am not drinking anymore. But as the day went on, I drank, of course, that evening, and things didn't change. I always broke that promise to myself. Feeling irritated when alcohol is not available. I had that daily routine at the end of the day of drinking and relieving that stress. And if something would come between that, if something had to be done or I had to go somewhere, I would get annoyed because, that was interrupting my time. Another sign would be needing that alcohol to unwind or to sleep. I used it for the stress. I used it to relieve, to relieve that stress and to unwind at the end of the day, but I thought I also needed it to sleep. I needed it, I drank, and I passed out. Another sign is wondering quietly if it's normal. There were many times that I would sit and think, okay, am I the only one that drinks like this? I felt so alone in the world and felt like I was the only woman that drank and would get drunk at night. And come to find out, when I started going to meetings and talking to other women, I wasn't alone. There were other women that did the same thing, that were in the same circumstance. After years of looking back, here's what I realize now. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no rock bottom for me. I had to become aware that I had a problem before I took action, before I started to change things. And I had to just be honest with myself and realize that I may have had a problem. If any of these signs are familiar to you, just know that you're not alone. If you want to continue to explore this gently, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and watch my prior video where I talk about how I quit drinking at 50 and changed my life. And I'll see you next time.